Welcome student, welcome to another video tutorial from SHIVAJI group of institution. Today I am going to explain the five kingdom system. In the previous lecture I told that what is five kingdom system. It was actually given by Whittaker, a scientist, a taxonomist called Whittaker. He gave the five kingdom system of classification and he classified the organisms into five kingdoms that are Monera, Protista, Plantae, Fungi, Animalia. These are the five kingdoms which are given by the Whittaker. So today I am going to explain the Whittaker five kingdom system and his first kingdom, that is known as Monera. Okay, so listen carefully, watch the video and learn everything at the time of looking the video. Okay. The five kingdom system is actually given by Whittaker. He is one of the most important taxonomists, and classification is given on the basis of which type of a structure. First is known as cell structure, second one is body organization, third one is lifestyle of organization, and fourth one is phylogenetic relationships. Okay, so Whittaker actually classify the organisms on the basis of these four types. He classified the organisms and put into the different systems, different kingdoms given by Whittaker. The first kingdom is known as Monera, Protista, Plantae, Fungi, and Animalia. Okay, so Whittaker actually classified the organisms on the basis of cell structure. Second one is known as body organization. Third one is known as lifestyle of the organisms, and fourth one is known as phylogenetic relationships. These are actually the basis for the Whittaker system of classification, that is called five kingdom system of classification. These four type of a basis are considered by this Whittaker scientist, and he classified the whole organisms into a five kingdom. So these bases are actually very important, because as you know, when there is not any base to classify the organisms, it is very much critical which organisms is considered Monera and which one is considered Protista. So the basis of classification here are very important. The first is cell structure. The first, on the basis of Whittaker five kingdom system, is based on the basis of cell structure. It means that you know everyone. There are two types of cells are found in the organisms. The first one is known as prokaryotic cells, and second one is known as eukaryotic cells. So on the basis of this type of prokaryotic and eukaryotic structure of the cells, he classified the organisms into five kingdoms. So the cell structure actually tells us the cell is either prokaryotic or it is eukaryotic. Now comes to the second point. The second point is body organization. As you know that many organisms are made up of a single cell, it means that they are unicellular, and many organisms is made up of more than one cell. It means that they are multicellular. So unicellular and multicellular are the basis which actually tell the body organization of the organisms. And this second point, body organization, also tell that, as you know that a single cell organism is known as unicellular cell. When number of cells are meet together, they form the tissue, and after tissue, many tissue are mixed together, they form the organ, and after that organ forms the organ system, and after that organ system actually form the different types of organ system, and these organ system is actually form the individual. Okay, so this is actually the level of organization which is actually start from the cell. When they meet together, group of cells are called tissue. The group of tissue is called organ, and the group of organ is called organ system. Organ system. Okay, cell meet together, they form tissue, or the group of tissue is known as organ, and the group of organ is known as organ system, and all the organ system forms the individual. All the organ system, for example, digestive system, respiratory system, nervous system, they all types of a system meet together to form one kind that is called individual. So this body organization is very important on the for classification. Now the third point is that lifestyle of the organisms. Actually, as you know that what is the lifestyle of the organisms? The lifestyle actually means, you know that many organisms make their food by their own. It means that they are called producers. They are called producers. Those organisms which produce the food. They obtain actually the source. They actually utilize the source of energy and they form the food. These are called producers. And in producers, you know that plants are comes. Okay, these producers actually produce the food, and these producers are actually eaten by the consumers. So consumers is what? Consumers are those type of organisms which is depend upon the producers. And what is decomposers? Decomposers are those type of organisms which actually eat the dead and decayed particle of the organisms. Okay, so these are the lifestyle of organisms. On the basis of their nutrition, we can classify these are producers, consumers, or decomposers. Okay. Now the fourth point is known as phylogenetic relationship. This term is actually very important. What is phylogenetic? This is actually one of the important terms. Phylogenetic relationship. Phylogenetic means that if we see the ancestral history of any organisms, if we see the ancestral history of any organisms, then this we have to use a particular term that is known as phylogeny. So here the phylogenetic means is that when we look the relationship from the ancestors, it means that what is phylogenetic system of classification? Here phylogenetic relationship is what? Phylogenetic relationship. In phylogenetic relationship, we actually see the history of the ancestors. History of the ancestors. Actually, as you know that we are a well-developed organisms and our ancestors is monkey. Okay, so we see the history of monkey. It means that we have to see the phylogenetic relationship of the organism. So phylogenetic means to see the history of any organism. So on these four bases, actually Whittaker classify the organisms into 5 kingdoms. The first kingdom is known as Monera, second kingdom is known as Protista, third one is Protista plantae, fungi, and then Animalia. So here the first kingdom is today I am describing the first kingdom, Monera. So what are the major characteristics of Monera and which type of organisms are actually found in this kingdom? This is very important point. So what is Monera? Monera is actually a first kingdom given by Whittaker. And in Monera, first of all, what are the characteristics of Monera? Because why we see the characteristics? Because when we see these characteristics of different organisms and these organisms are put into the kingdom Monera. So the characteristics are very actually important, because if we know the characteristic of organisms, we have to put in different types of kingdoms. Okay, so here we know the characteristics of Monera. It is very important point. The characteristics of Monera is, the first characteristics is known as unicellular. It means that uni means one and cellular means cell. It means that the organisms actually complete the life cycle in only a single cell. That's we call a unicellular organisms. So Monerans are actually unicellular organisms. It means that they are made up of only single cell, one cell. They are microscopic in nature. They are microscopic in nature. It means that if we have to see the Monerans, microscope is required. Okay, they are microscopic. Microscopic means that the Moneran size is in micron. That's why we can say that these are microscopic. Now the second one characteristic is that Monerans are actually prokaryotic cells. Moneras are actually prokaryotic cells. As you know that prokaryotic. What is actually means prokaryotic? The term pro actually tells that primitive and karyotic means nucleus. It means that primitive nucleus. What is prokaryota? Prokaryot is actually pro means primitive and karyons means nucleus. are primitive cells, primitive cells in which primitive nucleus is found. In which primitive nucleus is found. Learn and remember that there is no true nucleus is found. Here primitive nucleus is found, and this nucleus is actually called as incipient nucleus. This nucleus is actually called as incipient nucleus. So this is very important point. What is the difference between the true nucleus and what is the incipient nucleus? Now the difference is that in incipient nucleus there is no nuclear membrane found around the nucleus. Okay, there is no nuclear membrane is found around the nucleus. It means that as you know that in nucleus genetic materials are found. It means that the genetic material is directly contact with the protoplasm. Okay, so what is incipient nucleus? Incipient nucleus is called a type of a primitive nucleus in which no nuclear membrane is found. As you in the previous classes you know what is the structure of nucleus. Nucleus is actually a spherical structure which having a membrane around it. This membrane is called nuclear membrane, and inside the nuclear membrane the genetic material DNA is found. So what happened here in incipient nucleus is what? This membrane is actually disappeared. This membrane is actually disappeared. So this genetic material is direct contact with the protoplasm. Okay. So this is called the incipient nucleus, and this incipient nucleus is called nucleoid. Nucleoid. This incipient nucleus is called nucleoid. So what is nucleoid? Nucleoid are the genetic material of the prokaryotic cell or prokaryotic organism. So okay, what is nucleoid? Here I show the diagram. Here this is a genetic material that is found in a prokaryotic cell, and this is called nucleoid. So what is nucleoid? Nucleoid is the genetic material of the prokaryotic cell. Okay, it is called nucleoid. So what is incipient nucleus? Incipient nucleus is those type of a nucleus which does not have any nuclear membrane. So this is the most important characteristics of prokaryotic cells, and in prokaryotic cells you know that there is no cell organelles is found. There is no cell organelles is found. It means that mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, these type of organs cannot be found in prokaryotic cell. This is one of the most important characteristics of prokaryotic cell. Okay, there is no cell organelles is found, and in prokaryotic cells you know that there is 70s type of ribosomes is found. 70s type of ribosomes is found. There are two types of ribosomes is found in a eukaryotic cell. First is 80s and second one is 70s. But in prokaryotic cell only 70s ribosomes is found. And you know that what is the function of ribosomes? The function of ribosomes is the protein formation. It means that they participate in the formation of a type of a protein. Okay, so these are the characteristics of actually the prokaryotic cell. No cell organelles and incipient nucleus is found. ठीक है, उसके बाद मैं आपको ये बताना चाहूंगा कि जो न्यूक्लियस होता है, न्यूक्लियस में जो जेनेटिक मटेरियल होता है, मींस दैट इन न्यूक्लियस देयर इज अ जेनेटिक मटेरियल डीएनए इज फाउंड. डीएनए, this DNA is actually does not having the histone protein. This DNA is actually does not having the histone protein. So the difference between the prokaryotic and eukaryotic DNA is that in prokaryotic DNA there is no histone protein is found, but in eukaryotic cell there is a histone protein found inside the DNA molecule. Okay, this is also a very important point. No histone proteins is found. Actually, what is histone protein? This is a type of a basic protein that is found in the DNA, and they actually provided the stability of the DNA. Okay, so these are very important points. There is no histone protein found in the DNA of prokaryotic cell, and in nucleus there is no nucleolus is found. As you know, in eukaryotic cell inside the nucleus there is a small spherical body is found that is called nucleolus. But in prokaryotic cell it does not occur. So there is no nucleus and no vacuoles is found inside the cell. It means that there is no vacuole found inside the cell. Vacuole is what? Vacuole is actually a space which is filled by water. It is a type of vacuole that is found inside the cytoplasm in which water is filled. Okay. So in prokaryotic cell there is no vacuoles is found. 70s type of ribosomes is found. And here what happened in prokaryotic cells or in monerams, we can say that there is sexual reproduction take place. There is it is a long structure that is originated from the inside the cell, and this is locomotory organ. This is called the flagella. Okay, so these are the characteristics of monerans. Here, what are the example of monerans? The monerans are actually bacteria and BGA. This is very important point, and they are asking the examination. Give the example of monera. It means that prokaryotic cells. So here, what are the examples? The examples are bacteria and BGA. BGA is actually called blue-green alga. Blue-green algae. So BGA is called blue-green algae, and this is very important point. Note that alga are actually the eukaryotic cell. Okay, alga are actually the eukaryotic cell, but the blue-green alga is a prokaryotic cell. This is one called exception. Okay, this is actually exception of the alga. Alga is actually a eukaryotic cell, but blue-green alga is a prokaryotic cell. So this is exception from the alga. So here, because this is a prokaryotic cell, so it is put under the kingdom monera. Okay, so bacteria and BGA, this is called blue-green alga, is the example of prokaryotic cell, is the example of monerans. Okay, now here I am giving the structure of a particular type of a cell, that is called prokaryotic cell. So listen at here and look carefully. What are the actual structure of these prokaryotic cell? These prokaryotic cell, as you know that there is a large, this is actually a cell of a bacteria. First of all, I tell that this is a cell of a bacteria, and this bacterial cell is actually covered by a type of a slimy substance that is known as capsule. It is one of the most outermost covering of the bacteria, but most of the bacteria are non-capsulated. They does not having the capsule. Some are capsulated, and the bacteria which having the capsule is called capsulated bacteria, and the bacteria which does not having the capsule is called non-capsulated bacteria. And this capsulated bacteria is very dangerous for the human beings, because they create a large number of diseases in human beings. Why they causes disease? Because they have a particular type of a capsule. They are covered by a capsule. No antibiotics can be break this type of a capsule. So this is very susceptible for the type of a disease. Okay, so this is called capsule, and inside the capsule there is cell wall is found. This is one of the most important characteristics of bacteria. Actually, this is the characteristics of a plant cell. Okay, so in bacteria, you know, there is a cell wall is also found, and this is the characteristics of plant cell. So we cannot consider bacteria as animal. We consider here the plant, because this having this cell wall. Okay, now inside this is called the capsule, this one is called the cell wall, and this is a structure. Here the small holes are created. This is the structures are actually called the plasma membrane. It is also known as plasma membrane or cell membrane, and this plasma membrane is very important for the prokaryotic cell, because it takes part in the respiration. Okay, so this is called the plasma membrane. Here what happened, you look here, that here some plasma membrane can be inverged. It means that some part of a plasma membrane is inverged. This part is actually called the mesosome. This is one of the most important structure of a bacteria, which are responsible for the respiration. And you know that during respiration, organisms obtain energy by breakdown the glucose molecule. Okay, so this one is called the mesosome. It is actually the invasive structure of a plasma membrane or cell membrane that take part in the respiration of the prokaryotic cell. Okay, now here this one is called the genetic material of the bacterial cell, and this is particularly called as nucleoid. Nucleoid is what the DNA or chromosomes of bacteria is called nucleoid. And you know that in bacteria only one chromosome is found, and this nucleoid is actually a type of a circular DNA. Okay, this one is a type of circular DNA, and in this nucleoid another genetic material is also found, that is known as plasmid. This one is very important point. This is plasmid. It is actually a type of a genetic material that is consistent to the main genetic material. It means that what is plasmid? plasmid are the extra chromosomal genetic material consisting with DNA is called extra chromosomal genetic material is called plasmid, and this plasmid when consisting with DNA it is called episome. It is called episome. So these are plasmids and these are very important in the role of biotechnology. Okay, now comes to the other point. This here only, as you know, that in prokaryotic cell 70s type of ribosomes is found. So these ribosomes is called 70s, and this one is known as flagella, and here free enzymes are found. So these are the structure of actually a prokaryotic cell. By these characters we have to put different types of organs into a monera, the first kingdom system of vertebrate. So student, this is all over today. Thank you.